Today I'm going to show you how to put a ribbon round a cake, a bit like this one. So a fondant ribbon around the cake along with a bow, a 3D bow. What you need to do this is your chosen colour of sugar paste, pre-kneaded and wrapped in cling film. You need some corn flour powder just for dusting the area before you roll out. It's better than icing sugar because it's slightly thinner, so it will mean there's not lots of icing sugar on your sugar paste whilst you're trying to stick it to the cake. You can make one of these. I made this from a bit of Kilner cheesecloth, just popped in some corn flour and then tied it up in a new hairband, not a used one, preferably. And then that works as a little duster, and it just you just sort of blot it over the area you're working on, and the corn flour comes out very lightly. You need a rolling pin, you need scissors, you need some Tylo powder or sugar cell. These basically work in the same way. What they do is you add it to the sugar paste as you're kneading it. For this small amount, you probably need about half a teaspoon. What it does is it hardens up the sugar paste quicker than it normally would. This is obviously useful for when you're doing sugar paste models to go on your cake, and you use a little bit more in that. And then you also need edible glue, a pencil, a little paintbrush that you use for cake decorating, a little rolly thing. I don't know what it's called. I call it the rolly thing. You can get these from sugarcraft shops. They normally come in like packs with 3 other little tools that you can use as well. I didn't explain that very well, but hopefully you know what that is already because you're watching this video and you're interested in cake decorating. And then there's this one, this little roller, which it's got 3 different patterns on it, and this creates a kind of sewn effect on the edge of the ribbon, so that down both sides of the ribbon you can have like a sort of sewing effect. Obviously you need some paper and a cake to put your bow on, which if you subscribe to my YouTube channel you'll have seen lots of videos on how to cover cakes, so you can watch those if you need help. And then some paper to draw your bow template onto, but I'll explain that a bit later. First of all, you need to roll out your ribbon to go around the circumference. Get your sugar paste, make sure you've kneaded in some of the sugar cell or the Tylo powder to make it harden quicker. Basically it makes it easier to put the ribbon onto the cake, otherwise it's easier to tear and break. So pop some of your corn flour powder on the surface, just dab it around. Make sure the sugar paste will sort of warm in your hands and roll it into a kind of sausage shape, and then you can just roll it out. Make sure it's even. You can use a cake smoother just to kind of smooth it out. And try and do it in one long motion from the tips of your fingers onto your arms, so that you don't create too many ridges in the piece of sugar paste. Just gently lift it and make sure it's not stuck to the surface. Once you've rolled it out, put a piece of string round the circumference of your cake and cut it where the ends meet. This is so that you can check that you've rolled out a piece long enough to actually go around the cake. which we have here, so that's good. So then you get your little plastic roller thingy that I don't know the name for. If anyone knows the name, let me know. And then you simply just roll in a straight line all the way to the end. And this is why it's better than a knife, because it helps you to get a straight line basically. But don't worry too much about it being perfect, because in real life ribbons aren't perfect, are they? Life is not like that. So then you do the other side. You just roll. Roll and try and look at the other side as you're doing it, so that you try and stay as parallel as you can, basically. And just chuck the excess to one side. The excess I probably wouldn't use again. You could use it for the same cake, but just because it's got that powder in it, it's going to harden really quickly. The thing with the powder and it hardening quickly is that it will harden quickly. So if there are any cracks in it, just straight after you've cut it, just rub it with the heel of your hand where you notice there's any cracks appearing, because that will just mould the sugar paste back together and get rid of your cracks. So just do that straight away, and that gives you a nice, and just run your fingers along the edge of the sugar paste, because that gets rid of kind of raggedy edges that won't look very neat. And then just cut off the ends so they're nice, neat, sharp ends. Because once cracks start appearing, they kind of spread like wildfire. That's not what we want. You want to use your little stitch maker rolly thingy. I'll show you what that looks like close up. So it just looks like that, and you can see it's got like serrated, is that the right word? Edges. So what you do is, it's important to do it quite quickly after you've cut the ribbon, because obviously as it's hardening it's going to be harder to do it. So just do it straight away, down one side and then down the other, leaving the same amount of width on both sides so it looks realistic. And that is looking good. Let's just check you can lift it off. And you don't want to put it on the cake straight away, because you do want it to harden a little bit so that it's easier for you to move it when you do put it on the cake. So just check, run your fingers underneath to just check that it's not stuck to the table, and then leave it for about 2 or 3 minutes just to harden up a little bit. When you've left your ribbon for 2 or 3 minutes, come back, bring your cake and decide where the back of the cake, where you want the back of the cake to be, because that's where you'll want the ends to meet. So I want this to be the front. What I'm going to do is just gently turn this over so that I can glue the other side ready to put it on the cake. So you just get your edible glue, put it down the middle. It does kind of spread, so I just put it down the middle, and make sure you've got clean hands and just spread it with your fingers, and do that all the way to the end. Once you've glued the back of that, you're ready to put this on your cake. So to be firm with it, whip it round to the front, pop it on, and just keep moving it round until you get to the back. it looks at the front, so that's looking good. And at the back you'll have a bit left over, so you can kind of just get a sharp knife and just chop where the ends meet. So you can kind of see the ribbon effect there. And now you're ready to do your bow. To cut out your bow, you're going to need a template. So this is the kind of shape that you want. Now I've got two different ones. This is for a taller bow. So basically the tip here sort of goes up quite high and the bottom bit goes quite low. So there's like a big space there. So that will give you a big width on your bow. So it's more of a kind of Minnie Mouse big bow, if you like. Or I've got a narrower template I use, which is a smaller bow, because obviously the top and the bottom of that is much narrower, so you'll have a sort of thinner type bow. So it depends what you want on your cake, how big your cake is. All you do is just cut it out, or if you want to keep the template, just trace it. And then cut it out so you can stick it onto your rolled out sugar paste, and then you can cut around it. When you've cut your cake template out, you can just kind of bring the middle into meet, and that will kind of show you what your bow is going to look like on your cake. So just put it up to your cake and just check that it's the right height that you want. If it's not, you can just trim a bit off and make it to size so that it fits in with your cake design. Okay, so then just check that your template fits on. You don't need to stick it onto it, just press it on, it will just stay there. And then you get yourself a sharp knife and you just gently just cut around, following the shape. And don't worry if it's not completely accurate. Okay, so when you've done that, you can just take away the excess pieces, get rid of those bad boys. You can take off your bit of paper, just gently peel it off, and keep that for another cake if you like. And then just smooth your fingers over the edges so there's no raggedy bits. And don't worry about taking the shape off that you've created, because with the hardening powder in there, makes it quite sturdy, so it's quite easy to work with. That's how you know you've got enough in there. So then you can just turn it over to the other side, and you can bring the two ends together. See, there's two little holes for the bow there, and because you've put that powder in it, it's going to stay, it's not going to go flat. So you can, if you can feel it going, you can get some kitchen towel roll and put it into the holes of the ribbon, and that will kind of keep it in that position until you are at a point where you want to put the bow on your cake. I'm just going to do it like this because the sugar paste is already quite hard from the time that we spent doing the ribbon. So just pop that in the middle, press it down a bit, because you're not going to see this bit because you're going to do a join for the bow. So you can kind of stand it up if you want to, so that it hardens in the shape that you want. Pop it onto a little bit of sugar paste in the middle, so that the middle stays up a little bit, and it keeps the shape. So you can just leave it like that to dry out. Just pop it to one side. Roll out a rectangular bit of sugar paste And then just with a piece of string, measure how wide you want it to be and use that as your guide. And then just roll out. Just do a long piece in case you need to do more than one. You can kind of just see if it goes over the way you want it to. You want to take out your bit from underneath, just put it on its back again, and pop your middle over it like that. Turn it over, just cut the sugar paste so that it just meets in the middle, and you can put some glue on there. And you've got your little bow there. Leave it to dry just overnight or for a few hours, and then it'll be ready to put on your cake. This is what it looks like close up. I'm going to prop those up a little bit as it hardens. You can put like a rolled up piece of kitchen towel roll or something in there. So once it's hardened overnight, you just pop it, you just stick it on the ribbon on the cake. Put a little cocktail stick in the middle where the middle of the ribbon is, because you can kind of attach it with that, and then just stick glue to the back of it and kind of press it in between the two bows to stick to the cake.